Excellence, the podcast that dive into discussion and products that drive the end user experience. My goal is to explore the latest trends, discuss common talent challenges IT teams face trying to increase security and productivity for their users. Here at FlexKey, we specialize in the public sector to drive that digital transformation for our customers. Our mission extends far beyond delivering top-tier solutions. We want to create value by fostering the community. With that, thank you for joining. Welcome. My name is Donovan Linton, the host of the End User Excellence, the podcast where we dive deep into the discussion and products that drive the end user experience. Today, I have a special guest with me, product leader, community director for Windows Cloud at Microsoft, a keynote speaker, inventor, author, Mr. Christiaan Brinkhoff.
Thanks for having me,
Welcome.
Donovan.
And welcome back from your trip. I know you had a pretty long trip here in Australia and New Zealand. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was great. Great meeting customers on the other side of the planet that really enjoy Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365. And it was the first time actually that I visited that area, and it was really energizing to see, of course, the support and the use of the product, but as well to meet people from a different kind of side of the planet and get to know the culture and how they use their specific products. Maybe a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same as how we use it in the US and Europe as well. So yeah, great trip.
Yeah, typically everyone has the same challenges. Like we use it different, but we all have the same challenges.
Yeah, pretty much. Same journey, same starting point, same simplification and solutions that we build help them in the same scenarios. So yeah, that's spot on.
Awesome. So I guess just to kick this off, can you explain for the people who don't know who you are and what you do at Microsoft?
Yeah, I think you did a great job already explaining in the beginning, so thanks for doing so. So I'm Christiaan Brinkhoff. I'm a part of the Windows Cloud engineering team, which is Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop and even RDS, Remote Desktop Services as well. I joined Microsoft in 2018. I joined as part of the Logix acquisition. So that's a profile management solution some of you might know, still heavily being used for on-prem VDI as well as Azure Virtual Desktop or Citrix and VMware on Azure and other clouds as well. After that, I've been bringing Azure Virtual Desktop to market in the EMEA kind of area. So I did, they call it a global black belt role, but it's pretty much incubation for new service to make sure that everybody knows, understands the product and such. So I did that for like 1.5 years or so. Very great journey, because that was the time when Azure Virtual Desktop was used by, I don't know, a couple tens, hundreds of users, right? And now we are like way beyond that. And then afterwards in 2021, I joined the Windows 365 engineering team. Back in the days, it was called Project Deschutes from the get-go, kind of from the beginning when it was still a Visio stencil. So pretty cool journey, as that product is now a little bit more than 3 years in GA, and it's like really making momentum across like enterprises and smaller businesses and partners as well. So it's a great journey from Logix AVD, Windows 365, and we are just getting warmed up even too. So there's much more stuff coming along the journey.
The AVD journey has been amazing, especially recently seeing the Gartner forecast that just came out recently that had Microsoft in the leader position. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, that's indeed very energizing, and I'm grateful, of course, of that too, knowing that AVD is only in market for 5 years and Windows 365 only for 3 years. I've been consulting Gartner in Redmond for the 2023 quadrant you just called out as well, and this year 2024 is coming along as well. So expect that in the next let's say 4-6 weeks or so to have that awesome. Coming out too. So it's great, and really. One of the solutions is the consolidation of our products with other services that we represent. So think about Windows 365 boot and switch being integrated in the local Windows 11 operating system and boot straight into a cloud PC. Those are examples that haven't been done before, and that really changed the kind of positioning in quadrants and the marketscapes from IDC as well.
Yeah, and you guys have a very, very unique position for that as well to be able to get that type of integration. And I guess going into that conversation, because you mentioned about you guys are just getting started. So recently you're in Australia and New Zealand to talk about Windows Cloud and AI. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, like of course if you're coming from virtualization, like cloud computing or like virtualization, like layers, creating like the display over the network and such, that's part of the tag hasn't like it of course evolved and was like innovating on the like latency side and the quality side and the resolution side and all these things, right?
Reducing bandwidth, increasing bandwidth.
Yeah, and like all these things have been like definitely improved, but in essence, the core of virtualizing kind of Windows and don't sit in front of a physical PC, but remote into it, right? Hasn't been that much changing over the last like 20, 30 years. So what we are kind of doing right now in Microsoft is changing the whole virtualization layer and fixing all the gaps or closing all the gaps of what VDI always kind of had. And you kind of acknowledged as well. As a VDI administrator or user, you kind of knew these gaps that they were just not the same as a physical PC. So that will be definitely a new wave of innovations that you will expect from us. And then on the AI side, we bring a whole new flavor of experiences into the cloud available, where we bring cloud computing, Windows 365 Cloud PC with simplicity and AI, Copilot, and other experiences in the future together to bring AI from the cloud with cloud computing together as one. So imagine you can use any device like your Mac or your tablet PC or your Android tablet or your iOS tablet, doesn't really matter, and use the Windows app on top of that, and then get a Windows Cloud and AI experience that is not giving you boundaries of that specific device. So like MPUs and all these requirements for like physical PCs will fade more and more into a cloud model. So you don't have to think about like how many TOPS or how much core RAM and all these things I have to have on the local PC. It's streamed from the cloud, and you just have a subscription model on top that you purchase and have that consistent experience happening via AI as well. So one of the things we recently released is an AI recommender tool in Microsoft Intune, where you can proactively size and see if your cloud PCs are performing well or not, right? So you can kind of see, hey, is the utilization of my cloud PC and my apps that are being used on top of that, is that the right size? Or do we want to have a higher or lower license size? And then you can automatically resize in the future that as well, to all kind of make that more automated and smooth and blend that into an like real SaaS-based software as a service model. And that's kind of the innovation with like Windows Cloud and AI coming more and more together in a unique way as you haven't been seeing before. And Copilot Plus PCs that have been released in May are kind of a starting point of these experiences, but expect more and more like bringing these things also kind of from like a Windows 365 perspective together.
And that's really cool because it's not just bringing that technology to the forefront, the AI technology to the user base, it's also bringing it to your admins as well, because sometimes your admins don't know that that's an issue where you have an individual PC that may be constrained on resources. So having that integration where you can kind of bring that in and automatically be able to expand on a VM because a user needs more resources. Really cool.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, and you spoke a little bit about how you're integrating some of those experiences with the Windows app. Can you explain a little bit more about what that is and why should the admins care?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, as you probably know, like previously, like if you wanted to use Azure Virtual Desktop or Windows 365 or even RDS or terminal services or remote desktop or remoting via MSTC into a server, right? All these kind of apps like created so much, let's say, complexity for the end user that you need to have this app for this application or this service, and then this other app for that service, and you ended up probably with like 3 or 4 apps for your user to kind of navigate to, hey, I need to use this and then that one for that service, right? And there wasn't really a cohesive story there to bring those like solutions together. So one of the great innovations that we do is the evolution of the Windows 365 app that we started like 2 years ago to build, is to bring the AVD service and the RDS service and eventually as well server remoting into one app, which is called the Windows app. So it's a unified app. It's unification of 16 apps to just one app per platform. So it's a very delighted end user experience because you bring all these services together in one app. And then as well, of course, across all your platforms with the same user interface. So it's very familiar for the end user. You probably, I sometimes use this analogy, but if you use like virtualization today, you can probably relate to installing the app and configuring the app requires like a 9 pages PDF manual or something. And then most of the time
and you hope it installs correctly with all the components that goes along with it, plugins for Teams and so forth. Yeah,
exactly. And then you end up probably still standing behind the user to kind of guide the user through the steps as well in the end, because something wasn't going as expected or you didn't read all the kind of notes explicitly. So all these things like we want to remove, and Windows app is an example of like really creating all these services together to create like one app for all these Windows Cloud services. But that's not where we stop. So we also worked on Windows 365 boot. So that's a feature that I've been leading in the past with like Windows engineers and a bunch of more team members on our side as well, where you boot from your Windows 11 login screen straight into your cloud PC. So all these layers of first going to the local PC and then open install an app and go in an app and all these things, right, are completely gone and are just one layer to go straight in. And that creates an experience for a user that like that manual and you standing behind that user most likely is not required anymore. So that are just some examples of like these new experiences that we can deliver because we own the operating system as well as the service and as well all these components in between. So if you want, I can show you a quick demo of the Windows app as well.
Oh, awesome. That would be awesome because I think that's one of those great features, especially as you spoke about before, about having the integration and being able to integrate those different components and how they're able to work with the local PC, where now you don't have that user logging into a local device that doesn't have their apps and doesn't have the things that they need and having to go and figure out how to log onto another desktop to get to those apps and features.
Yeah, no, spot on there. And what you see here is the Windows app. So if you download the Windows app, you have to go to the Microsoft Store right now, but we are soon moving this app to GA, really soon. And then it will also be possible to download the app as an MSIX, meaning that you can also deploy the app via your own app management solution like Config Manager or Intune separately. Yeah, or something else, like even manually, you can just put it in like a script or something if you prefer that. But of course, we recommend Intune to use as part of your app deployment. So what you see here is our home screen. So this is a home screen that you can completely customize based on your own needs as a user. So as a user, you could be, I don't know, you have like 3 cloud PCs or an AVD desktop, and you have a couple remote apps as well. And you're not using them all on a daily basis. So there are like 3 apps that you use on a daily basis and 1 desktop. So you can easily then go to here to devices, for example, and you can say, hey, this is my Windows 365 cloud PC I use the most. And then you can say pin to home, and then it will add this cloud PC to this home screen. So you can kind of easily then go here and navigate and connect. The other great thing is that you can do that for AVD desktops and as well for the remote apps that we support too. So I can, for example, here add our self-service portal and then pin that to home. And if I then go to home next time, I can see my pinned apps here as well and easily start. And the other great thing of this app is that you can as well pin to taskbar. So what you do here is that you pin this this app to the I already have it pinned to the taskbar, hence why it gives that message. But that you can just click on the icon on the taskbar and then you go straight into the cloud PC as well, just to make it easier to not go to the app, but go directly to the taskbar too. And the other things that are identical to like Windows 365 are the user actions, where you can restart reset, rename the cloud PC, but as well inspect the connection to see if all your ports and URLs are set up correctly by your IT department. So the firewall allows like the access to like 443 and the URLs that we need. It's very simple, but it still requires some access kind of controls.
Yeah, those are definitely key into driving that end user experience.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. We have very detailed documentation for that, and very easy to follow like vault cards with a URL to make it easier too. The other parts is that we added all the settings that you're familiar with in the remote desktop app into this app, so you can easily here configure your display settings. So if you want to have one single display, all your displays, or you want to kind of do dynamic kind of resolution, you can easily do that here as well. And then you have other settings which are more generic to the app itself, like the like view of the app, dark light mode, and if you want to join like early releases as well. So if you want to kind of kick the tires faster on some of these new features, you can click here and add yourself into the preview. It's a very easy app. If you click on Connect, you will get into your Cloud PC session pretty easily. So I need to kind of reconnect because my session expired. But what you see here is that my session is just starting up. My Cloud PC gets full screen, but you can as well do windowed mode. So you can, for example, click on the icon here and then make it like more like a windowed mode experience if you prefer that as well. And then it will adjust the resolution automatically to your screen size too. And yeah, just use your Cloud PC or Windows 365 Cloud PC or AVD desktop the same as you kind of always have been using your virtualized environment, but then more from an unification app kind of layer perspective. This is just one example of using the Windows app. You can also, as you probably saw here, is the taskbar feature here. So I already clicked on this, so you see remove from taskbar. But if you don't, you will see add to taskbar. And what it means is you will add your Cloud PC into the Windows 11 taskbar. So you see here on the right hand side the taskbar and the task view, I must say, in the taskbar. And then when you click on this, you boot straight into a Cloud PC, meaning that you can switch between a local PC and a Cloud PC via the task view integration. It's called Windows 365 Switch. And then once you switch from your local to your Cloud PC, you can as well switch in the same task view in your Cloud PC back to the local PC. And that could be a great experience for hybrid workers or contractors, people that need their access to their physical laptop, for example, but have a corporate Cloud PC provided with like all the apps and data and such to assign to the Cloud PC. And then you have that easy navigation between local and cloud. You can even do like 4-finger swipe between local and cloud, and then cloud back to local, which makes it very convenient to use these two devices, your local PC and your Cloud PC side by side.
Yeah, that is probably my favorite feature, and it is very, very powerful. I actually don't know if people realize how powerful that feature is, especially when you think about use cases such as BYOD, where someone has their personal device, but they need to connect to company resources. So having that type of integration of being able to pull up the task view and switch to another application is amazing. With that, are there any plans to introduce or open up, say, those APIs for other vendors, such as Citrix and some of the others?
Yeah, there are more customers asking for that as well. So Citrix VMware, we have partnerships with Citrix VMware, of course. No plans to add those solutions into Switch or Boot as well right now. But keep the feedback flowing on that one, and we might reconsider it in the future. But for now, we don't have plans to do so.
Okay, it's a huge feature. Obviously, you want to keep that close to home, right?
Well, it's one of those identical features that really tells the story of the vision of Windows 365, like blended, like local, integrated in Windows 11 without complexity. And it's really required to have that as part of the core of Windows 365. To bring in like third-party solutions, there are technical components that we need to implement as well in order to make that possible. So, never say never, of course, but no plans in the short run or whatsoever right now.
Yeah, awesome. So you also touched a little bit as you talked about some of the ways that the Windows, how the Windows app is packaged, and that was with Intune. So I know you do a lot of work with Intune. You even have a book, Mastering Microsoft Intune. Can you touch a little bit more on how Intune also completes this integration with AVD, Windows PC, and that Windows app?
Yeah, it's a funny thing that you asked that because I've been a VDI administrator myself too. Like back in 2017, 16, and before, I've been implementing virtualization on-prem as well as in Azure, and I always kind of loved that technology as well. But I always was as well thinking it can be easier, it can be more simplified as well as more unified too, and the fun fact is that in 2018, I presented at a conference in Berlin, E2E, that's a virtualization conference, and I presented about Azure Virtual Desktop and Intune being kind of the future of how we do like IT management. And 3 years later, we started building Windows 365, which is built inside Microsoft Intune, and you leverage like AVDS, like the platform layer, but as well, of course, with more components like capacity automation and BCDR on top that we deliver as SaaS. But just coming back to what you just said, like I always believed that Intune was the future of how you should manage your virtualized environment too. And with Windows 365, we built a purpose-built IT admin experience in Intune to do the whole provisioning flow end to end, from like the start of the creation of your cloud PC to eventually your app delivery policies and group policies and settings, and all these things are all in one console, monitoring as well. So it makes it just very easy to just do it all like via one single pane of glass console. And it makes it as well easy for like knowledge and such, because if you know like Intune and such, like you know as well to spin up a cloud PC. But I also see a lot of VDI administrators like moving to like, hey, other services like Microsoft 365 more and Intune as well more. And the reason why I wrote that book, Mastering Microsoft Intune, is really to help IT administrators in the VDI space to leverage like, hey, Intune, and learn more about, hey, how is Intune working? How is it like reflecting from like traditional VDI to like Windows 365? What are the components? Like you have like group policies to settings catalogs, kind of CSP policies that are kind of doing the same, but they are under the covers like different and more modern as well. But helping like the community to kind of make that transformation is one of the reasons why that book is there. And the book is going good so far. It's getting a lot of good feedback, and I love to see how the book is helping others. That's the main reason why I rewrote the book. So I did it together with Pearl Larson, which is a well-known name in the Intune kind of community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is amazing to go from that and be able to offer that type of thing to the community.
I actually have one here as well. So look it up if you're interested as well on Amazon Books. Yeah. It's easy to find.
Definitely make that available to our listeners and users out there, because I can't imagine how hard that task is to even start to write a book and what type of material to bring that. Like, and this is not your first book. What started your passion with the writing books?
Yeah, I have a passion about sharing knowledge. Like I started doing that in 2015. Like my first presentation, I think, was in Denmark for a Citrix user group. Of course, the first presentation is different than the ones that I have right now. So I'm more prepared, more experienced, that's for sure. But the kind of sharing knowledge aspect of like doing IT and technology always kind of has sparked something in me that I wanted to keep doing that no matter which role I'm having. Like I'm working for Microsoft right now, I'm doing product management, I'm building features and all these things, but I'm also still doing the community work on the side, and I'm trying to keep that in a kind of good shape and consistent shape as well, just to make sure that I help the community and as well help eventually people implementing products to explain it in a way that they understand it like easy from the beginning. Because documentation is not always easy to read. It's of course it's you sometimes have that when you, I don't know, go to IKEA or some other Home Depot and you
Yeah,
have
when
that
step by
manual
step
there,
of how you
right?
do this, and
And you're
this.
like, "Ugh." And then
Yeah.
you miss some screws and like, I don't know, after like putting it together and it's not very stable,
What
right?
orientation is this supposed to be?
Yeah, exactly. And you could have solved that while writing a better manual, probably, right? But it's not always common that the manuals are kind of very detailed and precise. And the moment I started blogging was really, there needs to be material online that really does like the explanation of it, but as well end to end, step by step, explain kind of what it is or what it does or how you do it, and then with like screenshots as well, so it kind of visualize it better. Because if you write something in and another button like looks the same or is called the same, there's already kind of a risk of clicking on the wrong button there, right? So if you put a screenshot in there, you make it kind of very clear for somebody to follow the steps too. And some people are more text orientated and picture orientated too. So my kind of key thing that I did there is really do it both. And that's the same in the book. Like I kept kind of going on that one and combine it a little bit with the work in Microsoft. So, and that has been a great success. And Per Larsen is one of those people that I always like admired in the way how he did his blogs as well. So he wrote it in a similar way as I did. So I asked him, hey, do you want to write a book together? And he said, yeah, let's do it. And it was just a very good like partnership because of that.
Yeah, and I think the key thing there too is not everyone has the same use case. So you can go write a step by step, but that doesn't mean that that's going to work for everyone. So by taking a step back and also explaining, hey, this is what this is doing and this is the purpose of this, I think really helps drive that home as well. Because if you give them a step by step, they may set it up, but it may not be the right solution or the right way to set it up for them.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And that's the reason why I wrote the book as well, is to, of course, writing a blog could also be possible, but a blog is always like smaller. It's not like the
Mm-hmm.
whole product. And I really wanted to write like about the whole Intune product and the whole kind of management layer. And that required really to bring it all into a book. And we see a lot of administrators purchasing the book and then they read like, I don't know, a couple pages in the beginning and then they just put it on the shelves. And then when they start implementing something and they need to know about it, they pick the book and then start kind of going to the chapter and then they kind of read through it and then they implement it at the same time. So kind of, yeah, really a manual kind of too. I
Mm-hmm.
heard that feedback a lot.
Reference guy.
Yeah, it's great.
It's definitely awesome. So what's next for you?
Well, next in terms of just everything, I assume.
It's open for a reason. Whatever you feel is next.
Yeah, well, it's a great question, which I ask like pretty regularly myself too. Like, what's my next kind of chapter? Where should I focus my time on? First of all, I'm privileged to be able to do things that I like to do. So my work doesn't always feel like work. I have fun in my work, and therefore I can spend more time and energy into the things that I'm doing. And I encourage everybody in life to find something that you just love to do because that makes it so much easier to
And
get it done as well as have fun along the ride, of course, too. But
funny
my
thing
next,
about that is that anybody I think that knows you, they always see you smiling. You're always smiling. So that that is definitely great advice and a good thing to go live by and go by. You're always
yeah,
smiling. So that's yeah.
it makes you as well. And I don't want to go too deep in this, but of course, you never know what happens in life as well. So with health and all these things, family, if everything is good, then you should be happy, in my opinion. And if you can find like a job or a role or something to work on that you also like, then that's really an extra bonus on top. So, my part of my role is more and more kind of becoming more focused on AI and cloud, and we also will go more into kind of the area of like endpoints in the future. Like with
Mhm.
Boot, for example, we already do that with like the device experience end to end. So expect that coming to life more and more. And it's of course called Windows 365. So when you think about Windows and 365, you think about the whole kind of set, of course,
The
too.
whole ecosystem,
Um,
yes.
So as part of my journey, I would continue what I'm doing right now. I still run our kind of community elements MVP group too. But as part of product evolvement, you will see more and more AI experience coming to life and more equal experiences across all your platforms. So we are working on the Windows app for Android right now, but think about as well, like the Teams optimizations that we just released, the Teams 2.0 version is kind of out there and it's going GA soon. That will create more feature parity or almost identical feature parity with your physical Teams on physical PCs and in your cloud PC and AVD desktop. But see that as well across all platforms happening in the future too. We have Mac, for example, but we are also working on other platforms. So stay tuned for that. In terms of next, as part of my career, I will keep doing what I'm doing right now, and most likely as part of my role, you would see more broader initiatives as well, hopefully coming for community, AI, and other things that I've been driving in the past, and as well together with M365 services becoming more and more cloud optimized in the future. So think about optimizations you haven't seen before from us for Microsoft 365 services that are built purposely for like Windows 365 or Azure Virtual Desktop in the future as well.
Awesome. Well, as a member of the community, we thank you. We thank you for all you do. I personally thank you for your time today, and this has been great. Now, hopefully we can do it again in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Donovan, for having me. I had a pleasure, and let's definitely do it again. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks.